Herzlich willkommen den Zuschauerinnen und Zuschauern bei Israel Inside. Wir sind bei der 3. Folge und es ist inzwischen ein Monat nach dem Massaker im Gaza-Gürtel von Hamas. Und wir versuchen bei Israel Inside Stimmen von Menschen aus Israel natürlich über die Situation in Israel auch deutlich zu machen. Heute gucken wir aber auch über Israel hinaus, weit hinaus. Was hat der Angriff von Hamas auf Israelis, auf Zivilisten, inzwischen auch für eine weltweite Bedeutung? Und ich freue mich sehr, dass wir vielleicht sogar die Expertin für globalen und weltweiten Terrorismus in Israel heute zu Gast haben bei Israel Inside. Und das ist Dr. Anat Hochberg-Marom. Shalom nach Israel. Und wir haben natürlich Etan Drori, aus Australien wieder zu Gast, denn Israel Inside könnte nicht entstehen ohne die Unterstützung der Global Israeli Leadership. Und er ist in Australien Vertreter dort und hat auch Anat hier für uns das Gespräch heute gewonnen. Etan, ich gebe dir das Wort und du wirst ein paar Worte zu Anat Hochberg-Marom sagen.
So, ich bin nicht besonders mutig, Deutsch zu sprechen, so ich fange mit English. I think this is much easier for me. Guten Abend alle. Thank you so much, Riklef, for having me again to our weekly meeting with the unbelievable friends of Israel along the years who are coming with you on an ongoing basis to visit the state of Israel in peaceful time. We all, of course, pray to see them coming always in the future. I have the honor to introduce Dr. Anat Hochberg-Marom, a friend, a colleague, and an expert in international security and geopolitical crisis. Anat is a geopolitical consultant, researcher, and speaker with abundant academic and business experience. She has worked for over 20 years with international governments, security agencies, and businesses, covered emerging global political events, technological and economic trends. She was a senior advisor at the Chinese prestigious Hainan CGE Foundation, dealing with the security dimension of the global BRI project, conducting policy recommendations and researches to the government. Anat holds 4 academic degrees, including international relationships, political science, business administration, political communication, political marketing, and global terrorism. And just to mention, before I ask Anat to give us her view about the situation in Israel, and of course with relation to her expertise related to the global input and global impact on the situation in Israel today. In 2015, as an expert on global terrorism, she was chosen by the U.S. State Department's Distinguished Leadership Program and met with the Special Envoy for Global Terrorism of President Barack Obama. Of course, Anat is also an author of a known book, The Art of Marketing Terror 219, and other multiple studies and papers in Chinese, among others, on geopolitical implications of the global terrorism and the global pandemic of the economy, politics, technology, and the cyberspace. She is, again, an expert on the Russian war with Ukraine, and by that, I would ask Anat to give us her presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As for the current war between Israel and Hamas, I asked several times during the last 4 weeks what happened and what will happen in the near future. So nobody knows, and there's the the time not to predict, but to tackle and confront the terrorist organization named Hamas. And I would first and foremost say that it's not struggle between only between Israel and Hamas, but also between democracy and totalitarian regime, between the democratic way and the non-democratic totalitarian way of life, way of behaving. And it's existential struggle, not only for the Dörfer people in Israel, it's for the entire world. And as I can say, I live in Tel Aviv, but I have between 2 to 3 sirens a day, and I do have to go to shelter. Is it normal? Could it be? Could it take longer than what we can even imagine to ourselves? Not at all. It's like a nightmare. And when I'm trying to describe the situation, I have no words. Not only because I am Tel Avivian and Israeli, because every time I'm being interviewed in the Israeli channels, media, TV and radio and so on, and I do meet the people who were hurt. There are more than 1,500 people who were killed, tortured, slaughtered, and there are many others that injured. And we are all together. We are one family here in Israel, 9 million people, that everyone knows at least one person, either women or men or child or whoever. Everybody knows the others. Everybody got hurt. And it's a collective struggle against the evil, against this horrible barbarian terrorist organization. And as a global, as an expert on global terrorism, I would say that it's even more brutal and barbaric than ISIS. I was dealing with Al-Qaida and ISIS for more than 20 years, and I can tell you honestly, it's a lot fierce and lethal terrorist organization that what we have confronted with until up to today. It's not only the killing or the torturing or the raping of women and slaughtering people. It's the frightening situation and the I would say lack of confidence, lack of every single moment of trust of anybody that happened over here. It's an atmosphere of not only a war, but as a daytime, it looks as if it's a nighttime, because it's lost of values, values of people, universal or human. Universal human values were eliminated, as we can say. It is so barbaric that I don't even find the specific words, in order to explain what's going on until up to now. Not only, again, I would say, repeat, not only in the southern of Israel, also in the north, because in the north they were evacuated, more than 100,000 people evacuated from their home. For how long? Nobody knows. Nobody can take even the risk to tell them that tomorrow they are coming back to their home. And we could not get to adjust this situation. Is one of the complex and complicated issue. And whatever I describe here is nothing as compared to the reality. And it's, I don't know, no words describing the situation here.
I would like to ask you, as an expert on global issues and the issue of, I would call it, on one hand you presented the cruelty, the level of war crimes that were introduced this time with those barbaric terrorists. What do you think is at a given time now, let's say when we all slowly digesting what exactly happened, when we see more and more videos coming, especially when captured terrorists give up their mobiles, so they don't have a choice. We see what they took. We see the celebrations. We see these unbelievable, inhumane acts. What do you think China and Russia are saying about it, from their perspective?
From Russian perspective, I would differentiate between Russia and China, because from Russian point of view, this is time for, there's a bold opportunities to advance their position, the geopolitical position in the Middle East. It sounds ridiculous, but this is time for them to cause to even worse chaos in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. It is a time for them to not only to challenge the Western countries and first and foremost the US, but also to distract attention from what's going on in the Eastern Europe. This is time for them to erode support for Kiev and to consolidate their territorial advantages and position in Eastern Europe. And if we go even further and deeper, we can see that there are high-ranking meetings, high-ranking officials that are getting together, meeting in Moscow between high-ranking Hamas members and Russian foreign policy ministers. And I would say this is time to understand there is a league between a kind of friendship between the two evils that wants to cause to further deterioration in the security situation in the Middle East, to gain their advantages, their gains, their assets, and to distract the attention from what's going on in Europe. And if we go further and see if there are ammunition and arms that they deliver to Hamas, deliver to Iran, and Iran partnership with Russia, and all the drones and other military stuff that they are delivery between themselves. This is time to realize that what we see at the moment is not only the struggle between the war between Israel and Hamas, but a regional struggle, a war that could deteriorate to something which is a lot larger than we want to even think about. And when we go further and enlarge it, expand this map or perspective, and we go into China perspective, this is a different issue here, because China, first and foremost, for its point of view, if I would say like differentiated, and it wants to differentiate itself from Putin and Russia, we have to understand that China is also, it is partner for almost each and every countries in the Middle East, first and foremost Iran, and then Israel, and then all the Arab states, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, and so on. But still, for China's point of view, this is the first time and the first diplomatic challenge in the Middle East for the last couple of decades, specifically from the last decades, since Xi Jinping got nominated as a president of China. And Israel, for China, first and foremost, is the leader of the advanced Western world. Is also the pivot in the tech industry. It is also a leader also for the critical point of view for its economy from the BRI global project as infrastructure, the global infrastructure project. But as a leader also, China, as a leader of the non-aligned world, it wants to gain its own advantages, its own assets over here. And when I say that this is familiar with each and every country here in the Middle East, we have to consider and we have to understand that it has never designated either Hamas or Hezbollah or any other terrorist organization as it's officially as a terrorist organization. And it's also consistently condemned and defined Israel for the violation of the international law. But, and however, on the other hand, it continues to support the Palestinians' cause, but only on the rhetorical level. And it is very important from our point of view, ours, the Israeli one, it is not interfering in the struggle. And I would assume and can assess that it doesn't want to take any official assistance, support, either military or diplomatic official step towards interfering, because it keeps itself outside this struggle. So again, on one hand, it defies, it condemns the violation, but on the other hand, it also supports the Palestinian cause, but it does not want to get involved. It gives the US the leadership here and wait for and put promoting and advancing the idea of two-state solution on the based on the 1967 borders. And it is very important, because maybe it's a kind of, I would say, a longer future step for the next future, when and how it will be the ceasefire between all sides here.
Yeah. You know, Anat, one more thing before Wycliffe, just to connect it to Russia and China, speaking to a German audience, I thought of asking you to probably analyze Germany's role in all this. If you remember, the Germans were very helpful during the process of bringing Gilad Shalit back vis-a-vis the Iranians. And do you see how Germany will combine its efforts for the state of Israel and for the hostages at the moment and for the future situation? What will be the Germans' role in this? We know that Germany, let's be open here and say that Germany is probably, if not the best, one of the best friends of Israel in Europe. And the issue here is how could you see the Germans supporting with their very interesting relations with Iran?
I think it's one of the complicated issue here, the hostages issues and the stuff and what's going on for the last 4 weeks. And I think Germany can support and do a lot, because it already makes a lot of efforts in order to help and to assist Israel in the international arena. And also regarding the hostages issue. And whatever I say and whatever I predict, I would say it cautiously and keep in silence. It's better to do it under the radar than speak about, say, that you should do this or that. And I'm not, usually I behave diplomatically, and I would say very cautiously that the time we say and the time will let us know if and when the hostages that were kidnapped will be released. But everything and every effort we can put in this issue and advance it everywhere in each and every corner of the world will be it will be better than what's going on right now. And as far as I know, Germany, there are many there are possibilities. But what I say every time to the government official, also especially here in Israel, they say less and do more. Means do as much as we can do and keep silent, because although Egypt and Qatar are involved, but what we don't know is what is going underneath. And as far as Germany is involved, and there are many complexities over here. There are many delicate subtexts and sub-issues that are going here and happens right now. We can wish for a better future, but it is time for doing, not for speaking. And I hope that as far as we can do together and to share the knowledge, the expertise, the efforts, the assets, everything all together in order to advance and to solve this very delicate issue that we know that it's not only for the Israeli, but to the Western world, for the democratic world, on behalf of every democratic regime and values and liberal values that are first and foremost to advance here.
Anat, I think you are right. In the past, Germany has done a lot of support under the surface. But we have also the situation above surface on the streets.
Right.
And in Germany, in Europe, in USA. And sometimes I think you spoke about the loss of values, which is now visible. And I think we have had this loss of values quite earlier. What do you think about the values of Western democracies and liberalism?
I think we're in time of erosion of each and every liberal, democratic, universal human values. Not necessarily Israeli nationality, but also, in the Western world. And the erosion occurs not only here in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem or Berlin or Paris or London, but anywhere, everywhere in the world. And I think maybe one of the messages from our conversation and debate over here is that Israeli-Hamas war, is a consequence of the erosion of values, of struggle of values, of the ideological struggle over values. And this is why it is so deep, complex, and long-term period of time that it will take until we recover. Because once you eliminate and you want to kill on behalf of the bad and the evil, that against the democratic world, nothing will stop you as a terrorist. Mm-hmm. And it's not only the ideological on behalf of the name of Hamas or the Brotherhood of Hezbollah or whoever, ISIS or Al-Qaida. It's the good against the evil, the black against the white. It is everywhere, and it's anti-Semitism and the lack of, I would say, a liberty and liberalism that causes people to behave as they do behave. They don't want to let us to live our normal life. Either it will be abnormal or it will be elimination of not only the Jewish in the world, not only the Jewish people. And today it's in Israel, tomorrow it will be in Europe somewhere, or wherever in Asia and all over the corner, or each corner in the world. So we have to understand that we have to cooperate and to collaborate in each and every aspect of life in order to deter this kind of a mixture of terrorism and anti-Semitism and good and against the evil is maybe a slogan, but this is the real life.
Yeah. Do you think, Anat, that Israel will find new partners in this struggle? We had the Abraham Accords. Israel was on a way to talk to Saudi Arabia. And do you think there are partners who will join Israel and the Western world in new human values?
I think Saudi Arabia understands very well, and I wrote about it, how deep, complex issue it is right now, but how far it can go. The Saudi Arabia itself is one of the strongest tables and would say the leader of the Sunnah world, the Islamic Sunnah world. Saudi Arabia understands very well. Ben Salman, leader, knows exactly who is Israel and how strong it is and how strong is the economy and how strong is its not only potential partner, but partner itself, although it can take time in order to do that, to continue, to proceed with the normalization process. It's going to take time. It's going to take even longer time than expected, but they do realize very well how far Israel as a partner could be and will be in the near future. And this is one of the main reasons, the major reasons why Iran is so stubbornly insists on fighting against Israel and against the US. They know very well that they do lose in this struggle because once they see that the Arab states, and main and foremost Saudi Arabia, which is the leader, they know exactly that they're going to lose in this struggle, and they try to stop it in each and every way they can have, in each and every, I would say, either regional struggle or world struggle to go against the Saudi Arabia crown. And it's...
before October, there was an accord between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Do you think, Anat, that it is more than the ink on the paper? Does it have a reality?
Yes, it is. As far as I'm concerned with this issue, they also wrote about the Chinese broker between the Iran and Saudi Arabia side. And I would say that they have both together, they are partners, but they are also, although they have their accords between them, the partnership, they are still very historic enemies, foes between one against each other, but still they have partnership agreement. And how could it be this contradictions? How can it goes together? This is the potential way of looking at the Middle East. They are negative, they are positive, but altogether they are a mixture of the antagonist way of looking at stuff. And I think that everybody knows, and each and every country, states here in the Middle East knows exactly that Iran is the main enemy of the Western world. This is why of Russia and China, and continue the question from a few minutes ago, which is just asked me, this is the reason why they want to eliminate the Western hegemony, global hegemony, and specifically regional hegemony of the US and Israel as well as it's a partner. And I would say, even go further on into the near future, I would say that Saudi Arabia, although it sits aside and does not want to get involved in this war between Hamas and Israel, in the near future, and when we look from the economy perspective, Saudi Arabia is going to gain from the higher prices of the oil, the increase in oil prices. But I do believe that they want to stabilize the Middle East.
Yeah.
Because once the stabilization is going to occur and to reoccur here in one of the most explosion place all over the world, I mean, the Middle East is one of the fragile region, everybody can gain. Everybody can gain from the, 1 + 1 is never 2, but it's a lot more.
Yeah.
And he knows very well that the advantages that are taken out from this stabilized region going to be very fruitful and very peaceful for everybody, except from the one who does not want to see the stabilization of the region. First and foremost, again, is Iran and the resistance axis.
Yeah.
I wanted to just touch base with the European community, because I think that completion, or let's say speaking about the Arab world, you gave us the impression about how you look at it, let's say the day after the war now. But with Europe and the invasion of Muslim migration, like unbelievable from MENA, from Middle East and North Africa especially, and into France, into Germany, into UK, Holland, Belgium, not to mention mayors from Palestinian background in Sweden. All these, could you elaborate on this and with, talking about the balance of presence of so many Muslims coming to Europe in the next, last 2 decades?
I think the main issue here is the refugee influx from the Middle East, first and foremost for Germany, as well as to France and London, and we know that there are very the mixture, it impacts the population and the whole atmosphere in Europe, in the EU countries. But if I would say it, for the coming month, for the coming future, it's not necessarily what's happened until now or until October 7th. It's what will happen in the next coming month. Not what happened in history, but what will be in the advanced future. Because it's not going to rebalance the population in the European countries, but the whole atmosphere. The whole atmosphere is going to be, I would say, dichotomy between the good and bad, between the good and evil. Because it will be a lot more. We already see the demonstrations all over Europe and all over the world against the Jewish, the Israelis, the Western hegemony, and so on and so on. But I really tell you that what I concern is the near future. It's not what happened.
So you would define the war now as a crossroads for the entire world, in a way?
Exactly. It's a turning point. It's like 9/11 of the US. It's like the 24th of February for the Ukraine. It's the black swan for the entire world. And I wrote about it.
Yes. So in fact, for my part, I would say that you forecast a new Israel after the war?
Yes, but time will tell us what will be and what. And I think this is only the beginning. I'm very optimistic, lady. Never again speaking about the negative implications. But I must tell you honestly, I do believe that there are going to be even worse scenarios in the near future, and everywhere, in each and every interview that I've been interviewed for the last month, I say that we do have to be on alert everywhere, not only in Tel Aviv or in Jerusalem, but all over, because it's the time of, this is wartime. Let's face it, it's this like Second World War that happened. It could be everywhere in the world, and the terrorist organizations, from Hamas attack on October 7th, this is a kind of inspiration, a model of inspiration and imitation for many others, fractions, terrorist militias, terrorist fractions in Jerusalem, in Samaria, and in the north, in Hezbollah, northern attacks, and everywhere. And it is time to realize, for the Jewish people, for the Israeli people, this is a time to be in Israel. Not to look for any other, I would say, adventures and challenges abroad. Because each and everywhere, as it happened in Dagestan a week ago, it could be everywhere. And it's a crisis time period. It's not a time to tell anybody, fairy tales. That will be okay. It will be okay, but after a while.
Anat, before I pass the microphone to Riklef to tell you the final words, I wanted to thank you really on behalf of the Amuta, on behalf of the Global Israeli Leadership Organization that is, in a way, combining hundreds of Israeli community leaders, Hebrew-speaking communities. I don't know if you know that in Germany you have approximately 30,000 Israelis. Some people say even 40, 10,000.
Now it's less. They are going back.
They're going back to save the country, yes. But all in all, it's another component that I'm sure you know. It's the fifth tribe of the State of Israel society. You're talking about 1.1 million Israelis living outside Israel. And in principle, we are about 10 to 15% of the entire world Jewish community. And this is an amazing contribution that you can see everywhere in public diplomacy, in raising funds for procurements for the IDF and the defense ministry and Hasbara all over. And I think that this was the opportunity for us to join with Ahavta Begegnungen or the Ahavta Mifgashim or meetings that Riklef is leading here in Germany, and the friendship between him and Yoram Ehrlich, our member of the board, who's doing a fantastic job on an ongoing basis, bringing a lot of Christian organizations to Israel. So I wanted to thank you so much, and also to thank Rikle for hosting us together. And you know, with how do you say, we will prevail for sure.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. I'm very thankful. I thank you, Anat, for, I feel that you gave us a wake-up call. And maybe the massacre of 7th of October is maybe the last wake-up call for our German and Europe society to change our attitude towards migration and towards Islamistic migrants here in Germany. But you also gave us a wake-up call to see more than only the Israeli perspective. It's we have part in this conflict, and I hope that we all feel it and not only pray but support Israel in every possible way in this front war. Thank you, Anat, and all the best for you and your country.
Thank you very much.